Episode 2 of the Special Brews is at the Moors Head with the guys behind 961, Mazen and Joe. Tell us a little bit about 961.
961 is the telephone code for Lebanon, and the brewery was started back in July 2006, right at the time when there was the war between Israel and Hezbollah, and it started basically with me getting fed up of drinking light fizzy stuff. And so I went into the back of the kitchen and started brewing some homebrew. And over the days and weeks that followed, people started coming in to taste what I was doing, and then they started inviting their friends, and things got out of hand. So we set up our first brew house, which was 12 hectoliters back then, thinking this is the biggest thing we've ever seen. Oh my God, these tanks are huge. What are we gonna do with all this? And we were the first brewers in the region to actually do this independently of Heineken, and so I had never been to a brewery in my life. So right after we ordered the equipment, I shot off to Canada and got certified as a brewmaster. I thought maybe I should take this a bit seriously now.
No more mucking about.
Yeah, no more mucking about. And 2 years after that, we had maxed out our capacity. We had to move to a new premise, got another new brew house, which was 35 hectoliters. And today we're producing about 200,000 cases a year, going to 24 different countries.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Can't complain about that at all.
Not bad for a bunch of Lebanese that started off in the back of a kitchen.
In the middle of a war.
In the middle of a war.
As you do.
With no resources to...
Only one of those countries is important though, of course.
Let's not get political, huh? So how did you get into 961 through what you're doing? Where's the link there?
Well, it was a perfect fit for our restaurants.
Yeah.
So, we consider ourselves a pretty progressive Middle Eastern restaurant, and we thought this is a great progressive Middle Eastern product. It showcased the things that you least expect about the Middle East.
Yep.
And I think a lot of what we do at the restaurant's the same. So, in all honesty, I had no idea about beer.
But you do now.
Well, I do. I know it was a very steep learning curve, and right down to the ship was sailing, and I was asking Mazen, so why is the red ale red exactly? That's the little I knew about it, and it was on a. We'd spend a lot of time on the phone. By the time it arrived, not long behind, Mazen rocked up, and we sort of got out on the road and pushed it out there. Yeah, look, I think it's exceeded our expectations.
By far. I mean, one of the advantages of coming from a place where people don't expect to see beer, and to me as a Lebanese, it seems ironic that people don't expect beer to come out of Lebanon, because beer did come out of Lebanon in 9000 BC, way before Europe was even thought of, way before the New World came 1,800 years later. So 10,000 years later. So, but one of the advantages of the beer coming out of Lebanon is we didn't really have many expectations on how we would be perceived. And to see this kind of a positive reaction is just awesome. Having dinner somewhere and the sommelier coming up and saying, "Have you tried this beer from Lebanon?" I brew the beer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's been quite, we're listed in some of the best restaurants in Australia, and that's been a real, that was the goal. We discussed that this is a craft beer that comes from Lebanon, not a Lebanese beer.
No, yeah.
So first and foremost, we're going to pitch it at the best places we can, because we believe it's a quality product. Again, I had nothing to base that on other than my gut feeling and my passion for promoting things that you don't expect coming out of the Middle East.
And the fact that he stalked me to get the beer. And those are two different stories.
I'd believe that too. So we've got 4 mainstays in the range. So 4 main beers.
Well, we actually have.
Or is it more?
We have our wheat beer,
Yep.
which is brewed using local wheat from the farmers, which is always the most interesting thing, especially in Lebanon, because you ask for some sort of hint at what kind of moisture and protein and content is in the wheat, and the farmer goes, "Look, I've got this stuff. Do you want it or not?" So, but it's kind of our attempt to reinvest in the local economy and go green and minimize our carbon footprint. So that uses local wheat, fresh peeled oranges, Orange peel.
Oh,
Lebanon has great, like
the
lots and
orange-
lots of orange
it's that
groves.
Middle Eastern thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Citrus.
Yeah.
And the orange peel just has that little extra oiliness when it's fresh rather than dried. And coriander seeds, so that's our first one.
Yep.
Our second one is our lager, which is just won, that one, the yellow one, which is just won the International Hong Kong Beer Awards, Best Lager.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you. We beat 295
Entries?
from 40 countries. So that was
Some of which would have been much more notable. Pretty much all of.
absolutely, and it's a German style Helles, so it's more malt forward than
Yeah.
hop forward, but still very crisp and clean, and finishes with some Cascade hops on it. Our next one up is our red ale, which uses Amarello hops and Cascade hops from Washington State. It's slightly a more caramelly, finishes very crisp and clean, bitter. What's missing here is our porter. We do an English style porter, so not the chewy, big,
More of a thin.
more of a sessionable,
Yeah.
drinkable porter, but you still pick up clearly those chocolate and nutty notes. With a very, in the
So
background you get a bit of coffee and
So a less syrupy.
much less syrupy.
I must say again, not knowing a great deal, I went out tasting all these things that were sort of in similar categories, and every time I'd taste, a porter that was quite big and chewy and high in alcohol, I'd often say I'd be drinking them with my wife, who loves dark beers, and I'd say, this is really big, but it doesn't seem to have any more flavour than the
boldness.
than the 961 porter, and that's when I started to realise, wow, these are really great quality beers.
So after that we do our black IPA.
Such a nice beer, that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and that's a very controversial style because people sometimes misconceive it as, it needs to be super hoppy on the nose. Well, if that's
It's not West Coast.
yeah, well, if that's the case, then it's what's the point of a black IPA? Get an IPA.
Yeah.
You still need to pick up those coffee and those roasty notes on the nose, but it's still got that significant bitterness at the back end of it. And then we do something a bit nutty and crazy.
The Lebanese pale ale.
A bit nutty and herby as well.
My
And-
favourite. And minty.
And minty, and timey.
And timey,
Za'atar.
It is easily my favourite of all of the ones I've had. It's
That-
such an amazing beer.
That actually originated as an idea in the back of my head. Once I learned the history of where beer came from, and I did some research, and I went to the American University of Beirut and
Yep.
went to the archaeology department where they had all these scrolls from the Samaritans, and I thought, let's recreate something historical. And then I thought, you know what, that would be almost like a cheap cheat.
Yeah.
Why would I be trying to recreate something that's not going to be completely right, not completely authentic? Our culinary traditions are huge. Lebanese food is all over the world, and we have significantly varied flavors and unique flavors that we do. And I thought, why don't I incorporate those into our beers? So make a modern beer that has uniquely Middle Eastern flavors.
Well, you hit it on the head as far as I'm concerned.
And what's more Middle Eastern than za'atar and sumac and mint? And so that was our first one. We also did the second one because we think the Italians don't know how to drink coffee. We drink the real coffee. So we boil the beans and we add cardamom, and it comes out to be even stronger than espresso.
You can have that argument with my grandmother. she'll beg to differ. But
I mean, the Lebanese coffee will put a mustache on anyone. So we decided to brew our imperial stout with coffee and cardamom.
Yep.
But again, and we have an American IPA. We do a bunch of seasonals back home. We do a British style ESB. We do an Irish stout. We're now working on a barley wine with raisins and aged in a wine barrel.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of the, not in a wine barrel, in cedarwood barrel.
Ooh.
So we're doing a lot of this kind of incorporation of Lebanese and Middle Eastern flavors into the beer. And that is something that is uniquely us. It really is uniquely us. We're not trying to be gimmicky. We're trying to make sessionable beers that are drinkable, that will be considered equally, if not better than a bottle of wine with food.
My first 961 beer was this.
Yeah. It was
And,
mine as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was sitting in Lebanon I don't know if I've ever told you this story. A lot of flat roofs in Lebanon, so you climb up onto the roof and look around the village or whatever. In my father's village, on top of the concrete roof, up there with my wife, we had a coffee and then we were going to have a beer, and we cracked this open and I had a drink. I said, oh my God, this is drinking a Lebanese pizza. Yeah. This is drinking a manushi. This is incredible. That was my experience there. I never forget it. I've actually got a photo of it. Yeah.
Well, thanks for letting us in and having a chat with us. And for those of you out there who haven't tried any of the beer, these ones are readily available around Australia.
Yep.
They're available at Moors Head, so come down for dinner as well in Elsternwick here if you want.
You can jump on our website, 961australia.com.au.
Have a look, see where the beer is, and on that note, lunch has arrived.
Just in time.
So we'll see you later.